If you were to ask me today, are you a good friend? What would my answer be? Yeah, actually, I'm a fucking amazing friend. And this might seem like I'm hyping myself up like a little bit too soon into you watching this video, but I truly mean that now because I have come so far from not understanding friendships, not understanding people, not understanding how to stay connected to people. I now realize how to intentionally find goodness in people and them finding goodness in me. And I'll bend over backwards for anyone who I believe is in my corner wholeheartedly. Today I am going to be talking about the really sad part, honestly, of being autistic, and that is friendships. They are something that not a lot of us have had the privilege of experiencing real, true, authentic connections. I would say that I am extremely privileged in the fact that I can say that I have never been without friends. Throughout the schooling experience, I never went without a buddy. And now as an adult, I would say that I have formed some extremely close bonds that feel very intentional and almost very personalized to who I am. I find it really confusing to know how you know you have a friend. What does it mean to be a friend? My thinking around this is probably far too complex than it needs to be. It's just, if you like being around them, then they're probably a friend. But I have to almost tick off these things with the person. Do I feel comfortable 90% of the time around them? Do I come back and cry? All these things. There's a subconscious checklist that's kind of always running through my head all the time when I'm hanging out with a person. And so it's quite an extensive list, I gotta say. So when I say that I have friends, these friends have probably been through hell and back with me. I would even go as far to say that the people that I am around today, I feel comfortable with. And while I'm still learning again what it truly means to be comfortable with another living person in my space, I think I'm the closest I've ever been there. Oftentimes I don't really understand what it is that I truly feel for someone. Most of the time I just assume if I keep hanging around the person that I must enjoy their company because I keep choosing to be in their presence. And in saying all of this now, it has been an extremely long road to get to this place. I don't want you, the viewer, sitting there who doesn't have these connections, who doesn't feel comfortable with people, looking at me and going, see, look, why can't I be like everybody else? Even this person online who says she's autistic has friends, why can't I? No, let me tell you, the road has not been an easy one, and don't base where you are at in your life right now on someone who might be 10 steps ahead in this part of my life, and you might be 10 steps ahead in this part of life and I'm 10 behind you. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was really confusing, but just what I'm saying is, don't base your life on somebody else's. You're on your own journey. I say this in every video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Elena. I was aged 25 when I was diagnosed with autism. Being diagnosed so late into life, yeah, I've done a lot of growing up. I've gone through puberty. In fact, my brain is now fully developed as an adult. What this meant as a teenager, a tween, a child even, I went through various friends. And I think that this is a normal part of developing. I think at that age, personalities change very rapidly because there's so many hormones, so many different things constantly happening in the body. I went through a lot of friend groups. I realize now the reason for this is because I'm somebody who thinks very literally. There is no way that I can pretend to be interested in something if I'm not, and I certainly will not pretend to like you if I can't fucking stand you. My face and my voice oftentimes lack any form of expression or variation to my tone, especially at the best of times. So God forbid if I feel the slightest form of hesitancy toward you. I'm probably making myself come off like quite a bitch. I'm sure that there are those of us who can relate to what I'm saying here. If you are autistic, you may have even been called a bitch or cold or, whatever other names people like to say. I promise you I'm not, and I will never be rude to someone intentionally to cause harm. I just can't and have never seen the point in spending time with people that I know are not meant for me. Probably because I am aware that I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to say one thing to you and then say another thing to someone else. In all of my friendships, for as long as I can remember, even up until, I'm going to say 6 months ago, I have had the really, really bad habit of someone doesn't act the way that I believe they should, or if they offend me in the slightest way due to my fear of rejection, I immediately cut them off. In the past, I have never seemed to let anyone get too emotionally close to me because I've always feared that they might take away some of my independence that I so desperately crave, or if they become too reliant on me or our friendship. In saying this though, I am not closed off socially. I am quite a fairly open person when it comes to meeting new people. I'm just trying to give you guys a rundown and almost expose myself a little bit. Maybe it just shows you that the road to friendship and understanding connections is not always linear. It's a process of learning. Relationships, I believe, are some of the hardest parts of life for autistic people. In fact, that was what was written in my report, my diagnostic report, was that Elena was going to have a really hard time with interpersonal relationships. And that couldn't be further from the truth. All of my relationships, I seem to be very robotic, and the thinking around how do we know that we're friends? How do I know that you're my friend, and how do you know you're my friend? Like, all of that is just very much analyzed, and it just confuses the fuck out of my brain. Please know that I do not have it figured out, and I'm just purely trying to share my thoughts with you today. I would say, if I was to call myself out again, I think throughout the years, looking back on all the various friendships I have had, the thing that I think it comes down to why these friendships failed is because they wanted more from me. And they were totally entitled to want that, you know. A lot of the times I gave fucking nothing. More loyalty, more emotion, perhaps more physical touch, more time spent with them, just more overall. And in saying that, I wouldn't say that I have been necessarily a bad friend. I understood the balanced ratio in a conversation of give and take, when to give the necessary eye contact and when to validate the other person when they wanted, you know, some kind of emotion from me. I understood all that. I also knew how to give kind facial expressions just so I seemed warm, comforting, like a really good listener. And this role is something that I've learnt to perfect, but let me just underline that word for you, role. It wasn't something that came naturally to me, it was something that I was performing. If I go back in time from when I first started school, the thing that probably taught me how to act, how to socially seem appropriate, was through people watching. There was never anyone behind me. I didn't ever let anyone, behind me. I kind of had my back to the wall watching the other kids. And I think I realized that when I didn't talk, that meant less pressure for me, and I became the listener. I was the listening friend from a very early age because I didn't have anything to say. I didn't want anyone to know who I was. I didn't know how to actually authentically express my joy, my happiness, my interest with people. I'm sure you're kind of picking up now the roboticness of how I've been in friendships. What's helped me greatly in actually finding authentic friendships is developing a friendship with myself and accepting myself. You can only be and show up in relationships from a place of authenticity if you feel comfortable in yourself to express your authentic self. Because there is that chance that people will not like you and reject you. And I guess that this is what autistic people fear so greatly, is not being liked. And so we develop the mask that isn't ourselves. It's the version of us that we know is most likely going to be accepted. And at age 28, I now like myself for the first time in my life, and I think that it's come through actually understanding to myself, because I know me, and I know that I can laugh about the crazy fucking ritualistic ways that I live, I now can show that part of me, the real me, the stubborn me, the anxiety me, the scared shitless me, the also crazy me who obsesses over music and bands and needs to fucking share it and get it off her chest. And I love all these things about me. And now all of that can actually be shared with people that I choose to let into my space. The friends that I have now are all different from each other, and I'm still trying to understand how we as humans can merge into friendships with such vastly different people. Like, it just blows my mind. I wonder, because of their different personalities, their differences in personalities, do I try and merge myself to fit in with each one? What if we all hung out? What would my personality look like then? I'm not sure. My adult friendships are something today that take daily work for me to try and understand and keep up with the expectations, but there always needs to be a why behind my actions. It's always what I come back to in my friendships, is why am I choosing to hang out with you? So with all that being shared, and I hope some of you found that valuable, I've come to the point of this video: how to best support your friend on the autism spectrum. As someone with autism, I think it is so fucking important to feel that you can express yourself in terms of your needs. So if you are overwhelmed with many different things, let's say sensory overload, feeling as though you can say to the person that you're with, I'm really struggling with the environment right now, I need to go home, and trusting that that person is going to respect it and not judge you for it, is the key, I think, for autistic people feeling accepted. For those that have developed a friendship with someone on the autism spectrum, it can be highly rewarding because we are some of the most loyal and relentlessly, stubbornly supportive people that I know. And to recognize some of our maybe backwards thought processes or our backwards way of functioning, I think can actually help navigate and strengthen the bond between the two of you. My best friend has ADHD, and so we're two very neurodivergent people joining together, but it fucking works. She's got some needs that are different to me, and I've got needs different to her, and it's such a collection of cells that just fucking coexist so nicely. In fact, as a success story, I met this girl on it was like the friendship dating app. You meet them on an app like you would on a dating app, and we swiped right on each other and we started talking. We met up, and the first time we met up, we sat in a cafe for 5 hours talking to each other, and it was like, oh, okay, so this is what it means to really fucking have a soul connection. You know, you just keep talking. Prior to this, I truly believed that the friendships that I had, they were great and they were awesome and they were so beautiful in their own right, but I'd never experienced this level of comfort with another person. And so this is just a little success story from one aspect to another, I guess. If you are the friend of someone who's on the autism spectrum, or if you're on the autism spectrum yourself, maybe you'll relate to these pointers that I've given. But the first one I would say is the most critical for me when this has been overlooked in friendships, and that is vague plans. Although it might be kind of just shared in casual conversation, you know, oh, we should go out for lunch tomorrow. An autistic brain is actually going to hang on to that little possible plan and factor that into their day as a possibility. We are not the type to just kind of show up at each other's houses, you know, off the bat, because when there is a plan set for the day, all else kind of goes out the window and we're waiting for that appointment or we're waiting for that person. Waiting in uncertainty is some of the most stressful parts of my life. So please, if you would like to see us, please give us specifics. The time, the location, any other people you know that are going to be there, the more detail that you give, the better primed our minds can be, so we know what to expect, so there's less anxiety. Plans that are changed, and I understand that things crop up and plans change, but a change in plan is some of the worst experiences of my life. They send me to bed for the rest of the day because it throws off the entire thinking that I had for my day. The more information that you can give us as to why you've had to cancel can allow our brain to kind of self-soothe. In saying that as well, we are also capable of doing spontaneous things. If the plan when we hang out is there is no plan, we can still enjoy the fun. I guess the key point that I'm making about vague plans is communication is key. Social settings. I'm sure if you're our friend that you have witnessed how confident our mask is, and you may be close enough to us to have seen us without that mask on. We do our best to navigate social settings, especially if it's important to you, but what we want you to know is that our social battery drains a lot quicker than yours does. A quiet check-in has been some of the most comforting and supportive points in a night when I feel completely drained. Is this an okay environment? Are you warm enough? The music too loud? Questions like this can sometimes be the difference for me staying out longer with you or going home, because I feel supported and safe with the person who asks me questions. Communication. Oh my God, this one has gotten me into so many issues in past friendships. We're sorry if we're not as sociable as you. Although we may not always be the ones to initiate the conversation first, please know that we still care. The way that we connect with friendships just may look a little differently to you. For me, I am terrible with checking in with friends over the phone because I can't actually see facial expressions or hear the tone of voice. So for me, it's just a flat screen. I may not talk to friends for months on end, but as soon as I'm with you, I'm all in. I want to know everything. And these are, sacrifices that I have had to make. I've had to actually push myself and actually communicate because it meant something to the other person. But please know that it doesn't always come naturally to us, and for some of us it can be hugely taxing to respond immediately, so please don't take it personally. Emotional expression. I know that I may not sound enthused, or perhaps I sound a little blunt in my delivery, or even that I don't care. I promise you that is not the case. I care very, very deeply, and I may struggle to articulate my feelings or interpret yours. This is when I might ask for further clarification or ask for extra details and facts. Understanding emotions and expressions isn't always easy for me. When you validate my confusion or insecurities, this only makes me feel that much more of a bond to you. Special interests, my favorite thing. For someone who is friends with an autistic individual, you will know that when we love something, we love it. There is nothing more gratifying for an autistic individual than to share our special interests with the person that we care about the most. This is how we share love, express love. We might not give you a hug, we might not tell you that we love you, but if we're sharing our special interests and going on and on and on, wow, we love you. I'm sorry if we don't know when to stop. Regardless of the social context, we're not trying to be rude or bore you to tears. We just carry around a brain full of information that we're just waiting and ready to share. Routine. A lot of us have developed a very structured routine because the fear and unpredictability of life is extremely scary for our brains. Any unexpected change to this routine, this predictable, safe routine, can throw us completely off course, and we may not be able to get on with the rest of the day because of that one interruption. These routines may include our morning and bedtime routines, our daily commute, designated days for household chores, our meal schedules, and preferred eating times. There's so many others, but these are just some. Although these routines may seem trivial, they serve as anchors to us, providing the predictability we need in order to feel safe in this world. And finally, rigid thinking. I think I can speak for a lot of autistic people when I say that I can appear pretty stubborn. And we might even laugh about how challenging I am at times. I'm not trying to prove a point or be extra stubborn. I guess I just find it extremely hard to change my way of thinking. I believe that everything is either black or white, and I believe that everything in this world can be put down to one or the other. My mental inflexibility might appear difficult for you at times, and I apologize for this, especially if I'm struggling to see things from your perspective. But please know that when we are alone in the comfort of our own home, I am continuously reflecting on my perspectives and my opinions to make sure that what I believe is the correct thing. I strive to broaden my understanding of the world and others, so nothing is ever permanent in my mind, no matter how stubborn I may appear. Finally, I just want to say to those of you who do have an autistic friend, sharing the differences of our inner world can feel incredibly daunting and incredibly vulnerable for a lot of us on the spectrum. We strive not to inconvenience anyone, often masking our own needs to align with societal expectations. While we try to soldier on, the weight of this inauthenticity can be a really heavy burden, and so feeling like we've got someone to talk to can just make all the difference. I just want to say to those of you who do have an autistic friend and you are here trying to listen and learn, wow, you are an amazing friend, and everybody could do with a friend like you. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. My social medias are also down below. I make a whole lot of neurodivergent content to cater to everybody's experiences, but I hope you found this helpful, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye.